my husband and I, we really have been through a lot. We've lost siblings. We've,
Mm.
so a lot of grief. We've actually been divorced and remarried, so that was also a tragic time in our life. And we've been through so much, and I think my superpower is just that I keep going.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Highlight Her. Before we get into the episode, I invite you to hit the follow button. It helps the show get delivered into your feed, and it's a free way to support the podcast. Today's featured guest is Miranda Jones of Celebrate My Life. I'm excited to learn more about her journey as the founder of a nonprofit making a difference and add her to the Highlight Her circle of season 2. Hi, Miranda. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to hear more about your organization. But before we get into that journey, I have a question that I like to start with. Is there a moment recently where you thought, this is why I do this?
Yes, actually, just last week, we had our fourth non-alcoholic bar night. We had a decent turnout. I think though the first one we had our best turnout. It was more than I even expected. I was so grateful. Dan, from Support Our Local Businesses, Dan Brooks, he did a lot to help us with the flyer. So shout out to him. He sent postcards out to over 5,000 addresses and really helped us promote on Facebook. So we had a great turnout the first time. And then our last one we had at a funeral home, which was very strange, very different. So Liz London from the Howell Peterson Funeral Home, the whole staff there is just absolutely amazing, and you can't pass up a free haul, right? So
Right.
we did it there, and so Dana and I tried to work together to kind of put a twist on it, so it made it less about being creepy and
Mhm.
more about being, okay, let's memorialize those that we've lost and let's celebrate the fact that we're still here. Because I guarantee you, every single person has been through a very dark or difficult time in their life. And the fact
Mhm.
that we're still here is something we're celebrating. And that's kind of a big part of Celebrate My Life. So as much as we tried to twist that, there was a lot of people that specifically didn't come because they didn't feel comfortable being at a funeral home. So this last one last week was actually a middle ground. This was a decent turnout, not as big as I had hoped, like the first one, but my husband was actually the one that stopped me and kind of, he made a comment that really resonated with me. And it's funny because he's usually the pessimist out of us.
Mhm.
But that night I was just running around, trying to be everything and everywhere. And he was the one that actually made me stop and look. And when I looked around, every single person there was laughing. And like not just giggling, they were either like hunched over belly laughing or when you throw your head back because you're laughing so
Mhm.
hard. Like there was just so much fun energy in the room. And that is absolutely what we're here for. It's great to have a big crowd at one of the events that you've planned, but as a reminder that sometimes even the smallest crowds can actually have an even bigger impact on the people that are there. Instead of a little bit for everybody, it's a lot for a few people. And I think that's a big part of what we're doing. It is about celebrating our lives and our resilience, but it's also about socializing. It's such a big part of our lives and important as human beings. We need to socialize. And I think we often forget how important that is and how
Mm.
much peace and release that can bring to our lives. And so it was just really nice for him to point that out to me and for me to look around and just see what an impact we made for the people that were there. And it made me feel really good.
I love that. That's the kind of moment that just makes your day, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I wasn't even paying attention to that. I'm trying to help the bartender. I'm trying to make sure everything's well stocked. I'm handing out the pizza and greeting and this and that. And she's like, hey, 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 look at this. Look at what we've created.
How often do you have your non-alcoholic bar nights?
So we've had four so far. Our big launch party was in November, and then we kind of skipped the holidays. We've just been trying to find different venues to partner with. We really like the one we did last week. So it was Timothy D. Robinson Foundation, and they're in Allen Park, which is great because it's a little bit more centralized in the Downriver area. And then we even got the Visionary. They're right down the street, so they sponsored the drink. So it helps us to not lose out on money if we don't have a big crowd.
Mhm.
And so that way we can focus less on, like I said, trying to make sure everybody's there and just focus more on the impact.
So, do you have mocktails? Is that what you're doing
Yeah.
there?
So actually I have I know that I can't see, but it's called Trip. It's a mindfulness drink that's me and my husband, we've tried other ones like Moment and some others, but this is the one that we were first introduced to and it just feels like nothing else really is like it. So you can buy them at Target, but we buy them in bulk because we do free tastings at all of our events. Even when we're not doing a bar night, we're still, still trying to give out free tastings because so they have magnesium, lion's mane, ashwagandha. One has apple cider vinegar, depending on the flavor that you choose. And so it's really nice at the end of a hectic day, like a Monday,
Mm-hmm.
where instead of grabbing a beer or a glass of wine, you just sip on this, and it really does give you this sense of calm, but without the alcohol, with all the extra side effects or the hangover. So we try to give out the free tastings, just to help people think differently, right? Find a different way to try to release at the end of the day. But then for our non-alcoholic nights, we actually do our own handcrafted mocktails. So, and we asked the event too. So we'll have 4 mocktails. We've done a Nai Tai, which is like a non-alcoholic Mai Tai, because I do miss those. I do like juice, especially pineapple juice. We've done a twist on like a White Russian. We did a new fashioned instead of old fashioned. We've done a key lime pie, which that's actually
Mm.
one that I made on accident a few years
Mm-hmm.
ago. I really like ginger beer and I, kind of miss Moscow mules now that I don't drink. And my husband really likes cream soda, so I put that together with some lime juice and it tastes like key lime pie. So we've added that to a menu and it's actually been a big hit. And then we've tried some others that were just a little too bitter or a little too much of that and weren't a huge hit. So we keep track of the ones that do really well and we try to keep those in the menu.
Fabulous. What else do you do at these evenings?
Right. So the mocktails, like I said, are a big hit. They're a big conversation piece, and our bartenders make it right there. We make sure we garnish them. We want this to feel like a bar. So there's no cover. We want people to just come and go as they want. And then you just buy your drinks just like a bar. But at a bar, you have the alcohol to help ease your tension, because if you're like me and you have social anxiety, sometimes you feel like you need that extra liquid encouragement. But at
Mm-hmm.
something like this, when you don't have the alcohol, we try to focus more on collaboration and meeting new people. So at all the events that we've had, they're the 8 people tables, instead of just the 2 or 4 top tables. And what's really nice about that is we put a game on every table. And that was one of the things that was really nice is some of those people that were laughing is because they were playing a game together. I
Mm-hmm.
saw somebody that was just sitting there at a different table and noticed that there's a group playing a game and she came over to meet and play with them and they were all laughing together. So it's a really great way to kind of break the ice and get people talking without having to come up with things to talk about. Now you're interacting, you're laughing, and you're just having fun together. And it really helps for people to interact with each other.
I love that. That sounds like a great event.
Oh yeah, and so we've had live music, we've done karaoke twice, and it's all 18 and up, so we had one DJ that was playing like what's the song?
Chicken dance.
Yeah, doing that. So we had, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50, 80-year-olds all on the dance floor doing the chicken dance
I love it.
and the hustle and Cupid shuffle and all kinds of stuff. And so, like I said, it's really nice to see people being able to have fun, meeting new people without the alcohol.
How can people find out when your next event is or follow you to keep track of events? Do you have like a newsletter that tells them or social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try not to bombard people. So we only have a quarterly newsletter. If people want to sign up to it, they can go to our website. It is right there on our homepage. And then depending on what program they're interested in or event they're interested in, we try to have a web page dedicated to each one of them. So if you're interested in a particular one, you can go to that web page and interact. There's even sometimes a add to calendar button on there, especially if we have an event coming up. But our Facebook is probably the best. While we do have TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn and so many, Facebook is just nice because they have the event pages. And so any event we do, we make sure we have a Facebook event. We try to boost it. So if you follow us on Facebook, that's probably where you'll get the most updated notifications.
Okay, audience, make sure you go do that. Follow, celebrate, and then it's MI, like Michigan, Celebrate My Life on Facebook and all the other socials. And then the website is the same, celebratemylife.org, if you want to sign up for their newsletter.
So it's funny
Miranda,
that you say that because most people do think it stands for Michigan, and I'm okay with that. But the reason we created it was actually mental illness. It's
oh,
my life or MI for mental illness. But yeah, people say Michigan, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. That works
I
too.
got that. So are you hoping to go national then?
Yes, we were hoping to, that it was a goal of ours. It's a little bit more on the back burner. I worked with a company that focused so much on Michigan that they became #1 in Michigan. And I think we kind of realized that maybe that's a better goal instead of stretching ourselves too thin and too wide. That's just focus that start here in Downriver. The people in Downriver really, really need it.
I'm glad that you guys started here. How did you start this whole journey with creating a nonprofit?
So yeah, it's kind of a funny story. It was supposed to just be a one-time thing. This was not supposed to escalate into what it has. I'm very thankful though. So back in like 2016, my husband and I, we had a lot of ties left over and we were trying to figure out what to do with it. And I came up with the idea like, hey, let's just pay for everything. Because a big thing about ties is that you don't benefit from it, right? So we didn't want to create this thing where we made money, but I was like, what if we just pay for everything and we invite people to come and just kind of like have fun and de-stress? And my cousin, she lost her husband to suicide the prior year, and she kind of wanted to keep going with his legacy. When he was alive, he tried so much to help people through addiction, through all, some of the stuff that he struggled through. And so she wanted to continue that. So we came together and it's supposed to be this one time, come and de-stress, have fun, and learn about mental health and suicide prevention resources. But the response that we got, every single person we talked to did let them know about this event, either struggled themselves or had somebody very close to them that they worried about and struggled. And I even had family members that I thought I was really close to, and even they came out and opened up to me about some of their struggles that I just had no idea about. So just realizing the need, we decided to continue. And then in 2019, we had 3 events that year. One of them was actually really fun. We had, have you ever been to the Blue Man Group with a like drum and
I know who they are,
they
but I haven't been.
so they drum and paint just splashes everywhere. The first 3 rows even has plastic so they can put over themselves. Well, we kind of created that. We called it Splashing Sound, and we got drum kits and we got washable paint, and you could either wear a white t-shirt or buy a canvas and just go to town on the drums and take home a little souvenir. And then in 2020, we had like 5 or 6 events planned that year. Obviously, all of them got
Right.
canceled. My husband and I, we decided that we were gonna move to Tennessee, so we kind of put everything on pause for a couple of years, and then we moved back last year, and I've just tried to hit the ground running ever since. I learned a lot while I was in Tennessee, and just trying to get this to become a real thing. So we now have a board, a full board of 5 members, and we have actual programs, and I'm a part of chambers and networking groups and just doing what I can, applying for grants to we really want to be a mental wellness hub here in Downriver
Mhm.
and possibly have the first sober bar as well.
I like that. Do you have a
Thank you.
town that you're looking? I know you might not want to reveal yet, but
No, that's
have you
okay.
had a chance to look for locations or is that down the road?
No, actually, we have we're based out of Romulus. That's where I grew up, the address that we use. And I have a lot of connections there because I grew up there. So if it happens there, absolutely, I'd be happy. But I do like the idea of Taylor, Southgate, Allen Park, just because they are a little bit more centrally located. When you get
Mhm.
into Romulus, it just becomes so much more rural, especially the surrounding cities. Like growing up in Romulus, if you wanted anything, you had to leave Romulus. Whether it
Right.
was to go shopping at a mall or even grocery shop, I mean, whatever it was, you don't really have the convenience. And so I think it would be a little bit harder to get our name out there and get people to want to come.
That's exciting. I hope people that are listening follow you so they can watch and cheer you on and help you get the name out once you have a location.
Yeah, no, we would appreciate that very much.
Have you run into any obstacles besides COVID? That was a major one, kind of shutting you down for the year of 2020. Have you run into any other obstacles in your nonprofit journey?
So last year when we came back, I really wanted this to be as big as it could. And so last summer, I put my full-time effort and all of my time into the nonprofit, really hoping that I could make something of it. And so we had it was our 7th annual event last year, and we had a good turnout, but it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be. And it was, again, my husband is absolutely wonderful in these times when I really need it because of my high expectations, I was very depressed after. The next day I
Mm.
spent most of the day crying on and off because it wasn't just feeling like I didn't do a good enough job with it, even though I know I did. I worked my butt off, but it didn't produce the results that I really wanted. And also realizing that if I can't bring in enough money to pay myself and possibly an assistant, then I need to go out and get a job. And so it was a little devastating for me. And again, my husband helped me realize we had over 200 people. We brought in a little over, or maybe a little under $10,000 in sponsors and raffles, and that was 5 times what we made any previous year. So it is a huge triumph, and
Mhm.
I really probably should have focused on that even more. And another thing, I really have to give a big shout out to my family and my volunteers because last year I didn't ask anybody for help. But because this was our 7th annual event, my family and friends and some volunteers that we've picked up over the years, they knew it was coming, asked me when to be there, and just showed up. There wasn't a single person
Wow.
I asked. And, my mom and my husband are absolutely fantastic in showing up. I have an aunt that she's on my board and she's been to almost every event. My dad, my brother and his wife, even my grandparents, for what they can do, they have been absolutely amazing, and I absolutely could not do this without them. So there's so much from that day that is just so great. And I should have felt so good about, but I just felt super defeated and it just didn't meet my expectations, and realizing that meant I had to go out and get a real job instead of being able to put all of my time and effort into my passion. I had to, kind of put it back into a side project. So that's why we only have one event a month because I do work a full-time job,
Mhm.
outside of this. So that was really hard, and I definitely wanted to quit and just not even worry about this anymore. But my husband was great, and also again just realizing all of the good parts. Again, he reminded me that day too, even though there was only 200 people instead of the 1,000 that we thought were going to show up, because we did so much. We paid a lot in Facebook ads. We got sponsored, and we had an ad at MJR theaters in Southgate. We had a billboard.
Wow.
We really went all out, and even our Facebook said over 1,000 people, were interested, and like 500 were going, and so that's why the 200. I mean, it rained that morning, and
Mhm.
we still had over 200 people that all just raved. I'm to this day, this was back in September, and to this day, when I see people, I'm still getting compliments on how well and how organized and how great and fun the event was, and for what it was. So I have to just check my ego and realize,
Mm.
how successful it really was for what it was.
So you have another event this September then?
Yes, so this is our 8th annual. Because like I said, we skipped a couple years with us leaving to Tennessee. But yes, it'll be our 8th annual event in Romulus. So we used to do it at Apple Charlie's Orchard in New Boston. He was absolutely fantastic. He loved us. He wanted us to do it there every year. But unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of space for vendors and sponsors. And so
Mhm.
that's why last year was our first year asking for sponsors, and why we did so well financially, because I didn't feel right asking for companies to sponsor if I couldn't offer them space to have a table for, to promote their services and resources. So we just had to find a different plus they're just again out in the middle of nowhere. You're constantly being stopped by trains. And so
Yes.
um and being based out of Rhymeless, we felt like it was a good place. So that's where we've moved it to, and that's where we're doing it again this year.
Fantastic. Do you already have the date or we just know September?
Saturday, September 12th. So majority of the years it's been the Saturday of Suicide Prevention Week.
Oh, okay.
One year we did it different just to see if maybe there'd be less competition from some of the other nonprofit organizations. But what we realize is no matter what date you pick, there's all kinds of different events going on. We're gonna keep it the Saturday of Suicide Prevention Week. And it's nice, especially doing it at the Apple Orchard was nice, doing it in September because it's very fall. And so even
Mhm.
in Romulus, we try to keep that apple, hay, scarecrow, leaves. We try to keep that kind of like fall festival feel.
All right, audience, mark your calendars for September 12th if you're in the Metro Detroit area. So, Miranda, I am really proud of you and all that you've accomplished. And I'm wondering what you think is your superpower as a nonprofit founder.
Well, first off, thank you. That means a lot because this is one of those jobs where you work and you work and you work and then it's hard to see your how far you've come yourself. So I do really appreciate that. My superpower, I guess the foundation of Celebrate My Life, resilience.
Mm.
Which may not sound like it. It sounds like my husband is the resilient one, which is actually really funny because if you knew us, that is the opposite. But in the times when I'm really down, he really steps in and knows how to pick me up. But I think considering, how much I do and how much I go through, those are only a couple times where I've actually felt like I've broken. For the most part, my husband and I, we really have been through a lot. We've lost siblings.
Mm.
So a lot of grief. We've actually been divorced and remarried. So that was also a tragic time in our life. And we've been through so much. And I think my superpower is just that I keep going. For me, this is probably from all the self-help books I read, but for me, like failure, you don't fail until you quit. So
Mm.
I haven't quit. I haven't failed. I've made mistakes and I've learned from them. I don't make the same mistakes. Even try to learn from other people's mistakes so I don't make them. But yeah, as long as I just keep going and you can't succeed without failing. All those typical quotes.
But it's true.
Yes, I see people out there that they're just so afraid of failing, or even when we moved back from Tennessee, my husband said he felt like we failed, and I was like, if anything, we've succeeded. We tried something. It didn't work for us. We really missed our family. And my husband, he built his career so much here that he was constantly driving back and forth. So it was like, why are we in Tennessee? But there's
Mm.
so many people out there that want to live somewhere else and just never do it. So to me, even coming back and realizing family was worth coming back to, even to the depressing, cloudy Michigan. So to me, it's you mistakes are a part of it, and that's how you learn. You can't, because I've done this too. You try to learn everything so that you don't make mistakes, or you're so afraid of what everyone else is going to think of you, but instead you just go, you make a mistake, you learn, you keep going. It's the only way to go.
So, how can people volunteer or help celebrate my life if they're curious or really passionate about this topic as well and they want to help you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can just reach out to me personally or through our website or one of our social media accounts. But the day of our events is probably the most. Like I said, I have amazing support system, which are great. But the day of events, I do often get text messages and phone calls of people bailing due to sickness or just
Mm-hmm.
having something else going on. Or again, we are a mental health organization, so I've even told people like, hey, if you're not feeling up to it, like I get it, take care of yourself first. So we definitely are big advocates of mental health, not only for our community, but for ourselves as well. So, but our events, like I said, we try to have one a month, and then our big annual September event, we absolutely could use people to help show up, whether that is bartending at our non-alcoholic nights or just sitting in and helping at our caregiver support groups, which we're hoping to get that going again. And we're open to collaborating. Even the caregiver support, some of the events we've done aren't things that were really on our list or in our goals of things to do, but we've just been talking to people in the community and we find a need and we figure out how to fill it.
I love that collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of our programs and events have been just because even when we first got started, we didn't even plan on getting into the sober world and doing non-alcoholic nights. But the more we realize the need and the want for it, like they are getting really popular in Pennsylvania and even down in Tennessee. There was a whole liquor store with all non-alcoholic drinks and they would do monthly
Mm.
tastings, and so it's just things that have given us ideas, and more people more so giving us ideas of what's needed and wanted in the community.
Do you have something that you're excited about coming down the road?
So again, it's not in place yet, but yes, we want a mental wellness hub. So part of it would be the sober bar where people can just come and go and get some drinks and socialize, and we'd have games and music. But then the other side, what we would really like to do is create a safe space. So some
Mm.
people live alone, and so they need to get out and socialize, and that their need. Then there's other people that have really chaotic home lives for whatever reason it may be, whether it's just unsupported family, dealing with family members with substance abuse or some other kind of mental illness, or living with too many people in a household. It could just be really, really chaotic. So we also want to have a quiet area where people can come, because I know I get overstimulated pretty easily. And so sometimes what I need is just to leave the chaos, leave
Mm-hmm.
the all the sound, and just find somewhere where I can find some peace and quiet and let my mind and my body relax. And so that's what we're looking for. We have, we've talked with Romulus and the DDA, and we've got some. I used to be in real estate, so we've looked at some buildings, and it is hopefully in the near future. I think funding is probably our biggest, I guess, issue at the moment, but I am applying for grants, and I even I've talked Public Service Credit Union is where we bank. They've been amazing, and I've even been in talks with them about a loan. So I'm hoping we were hoping by the end of the year, but like I said, with me having to get a full-time job, everything just gets a little bit slower.
So if someone wanted to start a nonprofit, what is one piece of advice you'd give them?
Do it.
Mm,
Like I said, it is so many people push things off, whether it's fear of failing or feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, or worried about what everyone else is gonna think. And like I said, this was supposed to be a one-time event, and it's just escalated into what it is. And I hope one day it's actually something big that helps the whole region or state or country. I have a sister-in-law that is creating her own nonprofit, and she's come to me and asked me a lot of questions, so especially with today's world, I mean, Gemini, like Google's AI, is my
hmm
best friend and my assistant. It's really helped me to make sure that I am up to date on all compliance because you have state and federal, and then your bylaws and your board, and you have so many things that you have to be diligent about that it's hard to keep track of it all. So utilize the resources that are out there and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's another thing that I've really learned because people want to feel needed. And so
Mm,
even though you feel like you might be a burden, I think you'll actually make them feel good that you're asking them for their advice or you're asking them for your help. It shows that you trust them and value them and their opinion.
I like that a lot.
Thanks.
It gives them purpose too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have people, again, my mom, my cousin, people in my life that they say that they needed this or that this has helped them, just by, again, being out and socializing, but helping others. It's a big way to make yourself feel more valued and feel better about your life.
Absolutely. Well, I have four quick lightning round questions.
Okay.
They're just quick off the cuff type of things. So, are you coffee, tea, or hot chocolate?
Tea, 100%.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
I was a night owl for pretty much all my life until the past few years. I've been a little bit of a morning bird, surprisingly.
What is a tool or app that helps you run your nonprofit?
Well, like I said, Gemini, and that is Gemini with a G. So I've had people ask me, "Who is Jim?" Because they thought I was
Yeah.
saying Jim and I.
Oh, that's
So I just
funny.
want to clarify it is Google's Chat GPT, basically, it's AI, and Canva. Between the two of those, that I do everything with them. It's kind of like having two assistants working for me.
Nice. And then, what is your favorite way to unwind after a busy day of work and working with your nonprofit?
My favorite one is probably playing games with my friends and family. We're big gamers. We like board games and card games. The one I go to the most, unfortunately, is probably TV. It's the one thing that really helps my mind know that it can shut off, especially when I go to
Mm.
my go-to shows where I binge watch them all the time. But what's actually most beneficial for me is to just sit in a quiet room and let my mind be unstimulated, bored, nothing going on, meditating, if I can, and just letting all of the tension and the thoughts from the day just kind of melt away.
And do you have another nonprofit that you'd like to give a shout out to? Kind of
Ooh,
highlight?
it's not in the area necessarily. It is still Southeast Michigan,
That's
but like I
okay.
said, my sister-in-law is creating her own Blooming with Grace. So it is helping those that have gone through domestic abuse,
Mm,
mostly women and children, but I think it's a great one. And like I said, she's been asking my help, and I'm actually speaking, which it'll be past tense by this point. I spoke at her women's conference, and another one, I think Fish and Loaves has been great. Stephanie and I have met. We even shared a table at one of the chambers galas. And I think what they have grown way beyond what they expected to when they first started. And I think they're such a good resource for this area.
I love that. Well, audience, remember that you can follow Miranda and Celebrate My Life on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Remember, Facebook is the best one for keeping in the know and knowing everything that's going on with the events tab. You can also reach out at celebratemylife.org. Remember, my is spelled M-I. I'll be sure to put it all in the show notes for you. Speaking of show notes, you can also find the link to subscribe to The Scoop, the podcast newsletter. Get each episode delivered so you don't miss another fabulous conversation. Miranda, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, Jenny, thank you so much for having me on here. I think what you are doing is absolutely fantastic. praising the women in our community, I think is a great and needed thing. And so thank you so much for what you're doing and for letting me be a part of it.
Oh, you're so very welcome. I really appreciate your time and conversation.